Welcome to the Random Encounter Show. I'm Deathstalker 5. An early morning Deathstalker 5. For the first time, I think, maybe not the first time, but for the first time in a long time, I'm here at the table filming and it's daylight behind me. So get ready for the insomnia-fueled table talk. No, this episode's important. We're taking a just quick break away from talking about gaming, solo RPGing, and such things. I mean, we'll definitely be covering some gaming stuff here. But this episode, I wanted to cover some different bases. I wanted to talk about, first off, how I became a commission painter. Sort of by accident. But I think that if you're interested in becoming a commission painter, I have some knowledge and experience to share with you that might help you along the way. Sort of explain what it's like. It's interesting. Yeah? And the reason we're talking about that is because we're going to get in to a completely open table discussion here about where we are on the show right now, things that are taking place in the background of the show, and where we're going in the future. Like I said, I want this to be a big open discussion, so you guys, Random Encounter Army, you better stick around because I need your input. Yeah? Now let me get a sip of water here. I've already had my daily allotment of energy drinks to make it here. So now we're on water. Also, we got a package from Chaos Orc, the boss over at Chaos Orc. So why don't we just go ahead and start this video off with a mail call before we get off into things. So, of course, we need the guest star of the show. Here's Lucky. Let's see what Chaos Orc sent us here. If you guys don't know, the guy who runs Chaos Orc, I call him the big boss. He's been a very dear friend of mine for now over a decade, at least. Funny story. I met this guy on an old online MMO RPG that was based on the Legend of Zelda. Link to the Past for Super Nintendo. It was a game I played, started back in like 1999. It was called Zelda Online for a year or so. But then Nintendo got involved, so they changed the name over to Grail. You know, I just loved that game back in the day. And we started up on it with dial-up internet and such. But anyways, I met this guy on that game a while back, maybe around 2010 or so. I got to talking to him and we had several interests and stuff, and I didn't know it, but he ran Chaos Orc Superstore, chaosorc.com. Hey, I'm wearing the shirt. I don't mind promoting good business. And I didn't know it, but like I said, I had ordered things from him in the past. And but once I found out he owned the store, it's like, man, you need a friend? I am your best friend. Yeah? I'm your best friend. No, he's a really good guy. And to this day, even if I didn't know him, it would still be one of my favorite hobby stores. Okay, that's what he has. He carries a lot of stuff from the 80s and 90s and all the way up until the most current releases of things. The guy stays on top of it. If you want to know anything about the hobby, he's the guy to talk about. He knows what's going on, especially with Games Workshop stuff. But anyways, I was going to order some stuff from him for the show, and he said, don't worry about paying me, I'm going to send it over. And I'm like, holy smokerinos, the guy is too kind. I'm telling you, the guy's too kind. He said, hey, use it for the show, make it useful. So here we are, right? So let's open it up and see what he sent us here. It's, you never know what you're going to get from the boss over at Chaos Orc Superstore. You know, but yeah, what a friend to have for the show, right? Oh my goodness. Up top, you can't complain about getting some Games Workshop paints. Yeah, I normally use cheaper paints, but I supplement using some of the more expensive hobby paints to speed up the process, and that's what I'm doing. We're about to get into why I'm speeding up the process, but we got a box of the Citadel Color Contrast paints. I've used this stuff at the past, mostly the flesh tones and the snakebite leather. I like it. It took me a while to get used to this stuff because it sort of seems like it's out of control once it hits the miniature. But it does a pretty good job. And I know there's other companies that make uh, similar products, like speed paints from Army Painter and the Express paint line from Vallejo and various other things. I haven't tried those. The only ones I've tried is this. And there's one thing that I have to say about Games Workshop and what they do is you're getting quality. Okay? Despite how their gaming has went in the last years, I was always a huge fan of Games Workshop in the 90s. I love their stuff from the 80s. I think they were at their prime, though, in their 90s. So the games, like Warhammer Fantasy, it turned into the Age of Sigmar, and I never got into 40K and stuff. But their games have taken a turn away where I'm not so much interested in their games. But they have remained a company that I know that if I buy something from them, it's going to be quality. So yeah, that's why I normally stick, if I'm going to spend money on special paints, I paint with the cheapest stuff you can get, guys. Forget what these YouTubers are telling you. I'll show you in a minute because we're going to talk about painting and such, and then we'll go in the studio. I'll take you deep into Fortress of Doom here for a look of what's going on behind the scenes. But yeah, anyways, anything you get from Games Workshop and stuff, normally it means you're getting something of quality. So even if I don't care for their modern games, hey, I know that if I've got something with their name on it, other than their brush lines, okay, they're terrible for the most part. But yeah, normally you get something that is quality. What in the world? Okay, this guy's jammed the pack. What is this? So, hang on a second. Look at this. Here's what I was originally after. Oh my goodness, the Chaos Orc is delivering. This is what I was originally after going to purchase from Chaos Orc, because I was asking if he still had them in stock, and he had to take a look. The guy has, you guys would not believe the stock this guy has. And he does it all by himself, by the way. I wasn't even here to cut a promo for Chaos Orc, but why not? But I asked him if he still had this in stock. He had to go hunting it. Yeah, and it's the Dungeons and Lasers. This is sort of a new thing. This came out in the last year or so. And I've been highly impressed by what I've seen, so I wanted to try it out for myself. And they had this Townfolk miniatures box. It has 62 miniatures in it, and normally you see this for around $50 and less. I think Chaos Orc had them for like $47. 62 miniatures that are going to look like that for $47. It's an unbelievable deal. Did we show the back of the box? Because I'm buying stuff for the show. We'll get into it of why I'm buying stuff for the show. But I'm buying stuff for the show in the background because I have to rebuild my miniature collection. We'll get into that in a minute. You might be saying, what in the heck you got to rebuild your miniature collection? But we'll get into that when we start talking about being a commissioned painter. But I definitely want to see what we're working with here. Okay, something that I'm not used to. There's a full assembly guide for the miniatures here. Guys, I've bought miniatures that come on sprue. And you don't get any instructions or anything. It's up to you to figure it out. So this having a full set for each miniature, a layout of numbered and lettered pieces of where they go, that's a big boon. That's a big boon here. So let's take a look here at a few of these sprues. And I am liking what I am seeing. I definitely like what I see. I normally go for metal miniatures, but for the sake of getting a group of miniatures, especially for NPCs and such to use in towns and whatnot, I don't mind getting a large lot like this that we don't have to pay a fortune for. And for the most part, the miniatures look fantastic. I mean, I'm not seeing anything here that's that's saying that it isn't good quality, and it's I can already feel it's a good quality plastic that games such as like Games Workshop injected molding. That's good quality. It doesn't feel brittle. It doesn't feel super flexible. The flexibility is okay with stuff like Reaper Bones and stuff, but if you ever get a sheet of injection molded miniatures like this and they feel really flexible, 9 times out of 10 there's something wrong with them. Just giving you some experience there. But holy moly, here's another interesting thing. You don't see this quite often. They included, and I really like this, they have various bases that are they're not flat, just regular old boring bases. No, they have scenery on them, sort of terrain stuff and whatnot. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So yeah, you know, getting 62 miniatures of this quality for under $60 is a fantastic deal. Yeah? What else did they give us here? So here's sort of a brochure of what they order. I'm definitely coming back for more. You know, so I'm definitely coming back for more. I already see stuff. They have a lot of great looking terrain pieces. They even have, there's one thing I'm already looking at, a Dwarven mindset. They have miniatures and stuff just out of this world. Some of the dragons and stuff that they've had online are just insanely good looking stuff. So yeah, but here's even something. What do we got here? The Dungeons and Lasers Ghost miniature pack. That's interesting. What? Okay, we got to look at this. I want to see what this is made of. We got to take a look at this. This is a surprise item from, I mean, all of it's a surprise item when you go to pay somebody and they say, hey, you can have it if you'll put it on the show and use it for the show. Chaos Orc, he's been behind the show since we started. I know we don't talk about him a whole lot, but where appropriate, we talk about him. He's been behind the show since I started. I go to him for a lot of advice. I go to him for products and stuff. So it's he's always just been an amazing friend. Yeah? Even if he didn't give us anything or whatever, I would still promote his shop. Like I said, I love the shop. But here we go. This is interesting. This is your ghost pack, but look at the material here. It's translucent, and oh my goodness, I already know this is going to paint up well. I already know how I'm going to start working on painting this. We're going to be using some inks and such to make sure we keep the translucency of the miniatures, but to give it color and style. Let's take a look here. You know, here's sort of what's included, and you can see how they've put their paint jobs on there. Yeah, but another full brochure of how it all goes together. But this one's interesting. So for the boss at Chaos Orc, I have to give you a big thanks because you're helping out the show, and I know the Random Encounter Army, if you guys are looking for a place to go for miniatures and for hobby stuff, for your gaming table and stuff, go to Chaos Orc. Come on. You know, he helps the show out all the time. Go over there and support his business. I'm telling you, he's better than Amazon. He's got 9 times out of 10, he's got a better price than Amazon, and he ships stuff pretty much as you buy it, or at least the very least the next day, business day. And yeah, you get it just about the same time you would from Amazon Prime. The guy's got a shipping method out of this world. He's beat Amazon Prime a few times for me when I've ordered stuff at the same time. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the Dungeons and Lasers stuff. We will definitely be getting into this and taking a look at this stuff later on, because I'm going to be looking at getting some extra sets. Because like I said, it's a good way to get some ready to go terrain and such. You got to assemble it, paint it up and such. But for terrain, for me, I'm used to working with XPS foam, spray foam, green stuff, etc. You know, so when I say it's quick for me, it's way quicker than what I normally do. So yeah, yeah, super excited, ready to go. Let's put Lucky away before we bleed for the show by leaving him on the table and throwing an arm down on him. You can go over there. Anyways, guys. Let's get OCD about the tabletop, why don't we? Let me get another sip of coffee. Not coffee. I wish I had some coffee. Let's get some water here. Uh, anyways, uh, before we get into discussion about the show, and before we go backstage, basically, or go into the background of the show and off the set, the set, my part of the living room I'm allowed to use for gaming now. Uh, let's talk about commission painting, because as of right now, for the last few weeks, I have been locked in my little studio. I call it the Questing Table Studio. I've been locked in there and I've been painting my heart away. Uh, because at this point, I'm going to tell you, I am working full time for the show. This may be a major train wreck. This has been a year coming. For a year, I've wanted to really dedicate myself and get behind this thing. And at this point, that's where I'm at. So get ready for ramen noodles. But it's to dedicate. So right now I'm working on a lot of background work in the show. Not on camera, the background. Getting ready for projects and stuff we're going to do here on the tabletop. And the reason for that is I want to be able to, I don't have a whole lot going on in the looks department or the editing department and all that. What we can have going on is having a very good looking setup on the table with our terrain, our scenery, our miniatures and such. I'm not one of these people that want to come on here and move around some unpainted miniatures and all that. Get out of here with that. Okay, I want it to look excellent. I'm not a person that likes to do anything halfway or half-hearted. Right now with the show, we're basically in neutral. We're going to put it in first gear soon. I'm just doing a lot of work to knock it out. The reason I'm having to do a lot of work is because of my commission painting. I became a commission painter in 2020 during the pandemic, and I never planned to be a commission painter. I had never even thought about it. During the pandemic, I started using social media more, mainly Facebook. I joined some larger sort of gaming groups. I did not enjoy them. I found a lot more enjoyment out of joining smaller groups that were sort of local. Where I live is very rural. There's no gaming groups whatsoever. But, an hour and a half away or so, there's some other larger towns, and they have gaming groups surrounding them. Board game groups, Blood Bowl groups. I used to be into Blood Bowl. It's just too far to drive to play. RPG groups, etc. But during the pandemic, I had a good time in a lot of these groups because people were interested in solo play. Whether it was role-playing games, board games, whatever. And so I was able to share a lot of the knowledge and experience I had from being primarily a solo gamer all of my life. Yeah? And they absolutely loved it. And I would show pictures, especially of the RPG games and war games and such I would play solo. I would make sure to share pictures of what I was doing and such. That way, I don't know, it was a bleak time, right? Nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew what was going to happen. There was a lot of fear in the air over the future. So any positive stuff to share and everything, I thought it was important to get out there and take people's mind off things if I could. And gaming's an escape from our crazy world, to be honest. But people really got interested in the miniatures and terrain and stuff I was using, the painted stuff. And they asked, hey, did you paint that? Do you paint miniatures and such? And I'm like, yeah, definitely. And it didn't take long before people were asking if I could paint their miniatures. And I thought about it. I said, I don't have anything better to do. COVID's pretty much killed everything I had going on, career-wise and such. So yeah, I would be willing to paint miniatures for money. And I didn't know a whole lot about commission painting. I did a little bit of research and such. I've painted miniatures for a long time, so I know a lot about painting miniatures, but I didn't know a lot about the commission side. So I sort of seen what others were doing and such, and I said, look, I don't like the whole idea that we're going to charge by miniature and by tier of painting and all this kind of stuff. I said, you tell me what you want, and I will charge you by the hour, basically. Yeah? Especially if you've got a lot of miniatures, because I can assembly line paint, and you're going to save a lot of money if it's by the hour. Anyways, I had some people take me up on that, especially in the board game group. A lot of the board gamers in the world, uh, they don't know the hobby side of gaming. You know, they're used to board games. That's where they're at. They're not interested in war gaming or role-playing games and stuff like that. Sad thing. But because of that, they've never really seen a whole lot of the hobby side of gaming. So they were very interested in having their miniatures, painting and stuff for their board games. So I did a few board game sets and a few sets of miniatures for people. So then it sort of picked up steam and other people were interested and whatnot. Then it was over on the RPG group. I had a few people, they were asking about getting characters painted. And I'm like, that's my specialty. Fantasy characters especially. I love to sit down. I love to put the effort and bring a character to life. At least a miniature for the table. And so people were asking about that. But very few commissions came from that. Something else happened entirely. If you're thinking about commission painting, listen to this. This is going to be some good information here. Something else entirely different happened. They were looking at miniatures that I currently had. I would show them examples of things, of different levels of painting and different ways of going about creating this miniature. And I said, look, I can find you the miniature for your... If you describe your character to me, I can go look through the catalogs of the various companies and find you the closest miniature we can to your character. We can customize it. Okay, we can take things off that don't belong. We can add things. We can do green stuff sculpting. You know, we can chop off bits from other miniatures. We can customize this to exactly match your miniature. You know, it gets more expensive. The more customizing we got to do, it gets more expensive. Not gonna lie, because it takes a lot more time for me to sculpt green stuff and such than it does for me just to take a miniature, prime it up, assemble it, prime it up, get it ready, and paint it and clear coat it. But instead of all that, they were looking at stuff that I had and they were like, well, can't we just buy the stuff you have already painted? And at first I was like, huh? What? And then I got to thinking, I said, what's the problem with that? You know, if they buy it, I can just rebuy the miniature and paint it again. What's the problem with it? Yeah, that seems like good philosophy. But this went on with a few people, and quickly I was out of miniatures. I mean, I wasn't completely out. There's some miniatures I won't sell, but my miniature collection shrank, and terrain shrank very quickly. Much faster than I thought I was going to be able to repaint and put it back in my collection. Of course. But that's just the way it went. And I get it. You know, that we like instant gratification. You know, that why buy a miniature, have it shipped over to this guy, he's got to assemble it, clean it up, you know, prime it up, paint it, clear coat it, and then ship it back to me. That's going to be a process. You know, but if he's already got something there that I want and that'll work, all he's got to do is drop it in the mail the next day and it's here within a few days and ready to go on the table. I get it. Instant gratification. So therefore, with my commission painting, I still do commissions. They're open. I don't advertise commissions a whole lot. Mostly what I do is buy miniatures, paint them up, and put them on eBay here and there when I have time to do it. This has been a part-time hustle for me up until now. But that's what I've been doing. Surprisingly enough, most of our miniatures go to Japan, especially female miniatures, you know. Most of them go to Japan. I don't know why, but everybody in Japan, I guess, loves miniatures. I don't know. I'm more than happy to send them to Japan. Hey, wherever it needs to go. But as a commission painter, that's been where the bread and butter's been. Yeah? And that's why I have to get on the ball and get our stock of miniatures and terrain and such back going to where it needs to be for the show. Let's go on back to my studio. Let's take a look inside there, and we're going to come back for our big open discussion on where we're at with the show and where we're going and what I plan on. Okay? So, yeah, for the first time, you guys get to go behind the scenes. We're going deep into the Fortress of Doom. Yeah, to my little tiny studio. Let's go. Why are we still here talking? Let's go. All right, guys, we got to be sort of quiet. But this is the Questing Table Studio. Sorry about the mess. my little corner of the Fortress of Doom where I hide and I do all the behind the scenes work for the show. Yeah, let's get on in here. Just taking a look around. Nothing too crazy. As you can see, this also doubles up as a workshop. There's my workbench. But over here, let's just take a look. One of the neat things here, there's you. I've got a lot of my maps and artwork that I use on the show. There's the Frontiers of Illusia. That was the Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls Kickstarter map, signed and numbered. Over here, we've got Gary Chalk signed print that we got. Steve Crompton, original Grimtooth art coming to us, signed. Absolutely love it. Zimrala map. Sorry about the glare there, but that's the Forbidden Lands map. You know, most of you solo gamers know that map. Over here we've got the only Warhammer Fantasy map that Deathstalker 5 cares about. Yeah, the old world. Let's get over here and start talking about the studio. Over here, we have a workbench. This is where I do a lot of my terrain work, where I assemble and clean up miniatures, do basing, and different things other than painting. I normally do it all over here. Various projects are waiting in the assembly line to make it to the painting desk at some point. So there's a lot of stuff I use for terrain building and basing and such. There's some sculpting tools and various common use tools for working with miniatures and terrain. So yeah, there's some boxes of bits and bobs over here. Over here, we have what I use as a jewelry bench. Actually, sometimes I get into doing bench jewelry and metalwork, silversmithing, goldsmithing, etc. I know I'm boring you to death. I know. I got too many hobbies and little things I do. But this is where the painting happens. When I told you guys that you can use the cheap paints, that these YouTubers that are sponsored by painting companies, that they tell you absolutely can't use these paints, do not believe them. Do not believe them. I absolutely use these paints, primary paints, and they're quite easy to use once you get used to them. And that's going to be the same with any paint. Okay, definitely have a vortex mixer over here. What do we got there? We got a stone giant getting ready to start painting. We got him primed up. If you look and see on the walls, I have the walls covered around the studio with miniatures. All these are for the show. There's boxes of miniatures over here for the show. And I primarily have metal miniatures. I don't know why I love metal miniatures so much. I think it's just the weight and feel of them. But yeah, I'm definitely a fan of old school metal miniatures. But we got plenty of plastics as well. I don't mind. But primarily I love metal miniatures. Let's see. Over here, I guess we can look at some examples if we can focus the camera. There we go. That's not good light in here. Let's see. Here's the light I use. Why not? Let's just take a random guy. These aren't finished, but they're almost there. They're waiting for a few more highlights and stuff. But just an example. This is some really quick paints. These I normally do. I can do about 5 of them in an hour and a half or so from start to finish. Not in real time, but as in work time. And these are just quick paints. These are what I consider tabletop standard plus. You know, they're definitely got some highlights and depths and such to them, but I'm not going all out. I'm not spending, hours and hours and hours per miniature. We have a lot of miniatures to paint for the show. I don't have time to spend 3-5 hours per miniature. Yeah? We got things to run around here. Anyways, hey, let's see if we can get out of the glare there. If you recognize what game that artwork comes from, you get some points from me. It's one of my favorite games back in the day. The opening was killer. That scene was killer. Let's see who can guess that. Anyways, let's get back to the table. But I thought it'd be fun just to bring you back here and sort of show you where Deathstalker 5 does all the work that you'll see coming to the show very, very soon, as possible. Yeah, this used to be a utility room, by the way. I converted it into a little workshop and painting studio. Uh, anyways, let's get back to the table. All right, guys. I hope you're not falling asleep. I know I'm just about falling asleep here. But yeah, I think that was fun to go into the studio. We'll be seeing a lot more from the studio at some point. I got a lot of stuff I want to show you guys. But let's get into this open table discussion. Yeah, this is what I wanted to do the video about. All the extra stuff, it was just to show you some great stuff. But I don't know. I'm so tired I can barely talk. So forgive me. But this is important. But this is definitely an open discussion. So please pay attention. I want to hear from each and every person in the Random Encounter Army, if possible, here on YouTube. I'll put this forth over onto the Random Encounter Army Facebook page as well. But I think it's time for us to sit down because, as I said, I'm going full time into this. So let's talk about where we are as a show and a community, what's going on and where we're going, what's the plans, what's the goals. This is coming about because we are starting to grow. Yeah, the Facebook page is really starting to grow, as well as our YouTube channel. We've got subscribers coming in almost daily around here. No mass numbers or anything, but I'm fine with that. But as we grow, I think it's important for us to talk as a community, because as things grow, they will change over time. They have to. It's just part of growth. Nothing in this universe stays the same. That if you stop changing, you stop progressing in time. Yeah, that's just the way of things. But change is good. Change is not a bad thing. In fact, I'm going to stop the camera for 1 second because I see that we didn't plug it in and I don't want it going dead. Give me 1 second. All right, guys, got the camera plugged back in. You don't want me leaving out early, do you? Maybe. No. Yeah, with growth and change. I'm all about growth and change, but I think we need to talk about the reasons I started the channel and the aims and goals I had for the channel. That way we can make sure that any and all change that we have doesn't interfere with those goals. Right off the bat, when I decided I wanted to come to YouTube, it was all about sharing my passion, love, knowledge, and experience over my gaming hobbies that I've had since I was a kid. Yeah? And I think we do a pretty good job at sharing that. We're going to do much better in the future, okay? Because we're going to be getting deep into things. So that's definitely something that's always going to be present with the show. The next thing was creating a very positive community of gamers. And I have to tell you that that goal was met and exceeded very quickly with this show. I've met so many great people just because we started this YouTube channel. People that I talk to almost every day. There's people that are just starting out and they have questions. There's people that's been gaming since the 70s that want to share wisdom and experience. I absolutely love it. And the thing is that the community is something I want to be part of. You know, this show isn't a cult of personality. Okay, if it was just about me, I wouldn't have to get in front of a camera, which is something I absolutely hate to do, to be honest. I'm getting better at it. I feel more comfortable with it, but it is something that in my life I avoided at all cost. But my love and passion for it drives me here, and you guys keep me coming back. You know, but the community, it's about gaming. I learned so much from you guys. I love sharing things. I read all the comments we get on the show. I read all of the emails, reply if I'm able to. The Facebook group, and on Facebook, hey, I reply. I've met so many great people, guys. You guys are aces when it comes to that goal. You know, it's unbelievable. The fact that we're now inspiring people to start their own YouTube channels, that we motivate people to get deeper into the hobbies or start new hobbies and such. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. So you guys, you are the main stars of this show. I've said it several times, but it's absolutely true. So, and the reason though that it's so important to have a positive community of gamers is here online. I don't know about in person because as an adult, I haven't been an in-game person, like going to places to meet up with groups and stuff. But especially online, talked about the pandemic and getting into social media and stuff more and more. I ran into so many just straight up toxic communities of gaming culture. Notice there's a difference. There's a community. I'm talking about a community of gamers here, but the communities that surround the bigger games like Dungeons and Dragons and such, I call that gaming culture because you see it's filled with people, and I look at things objectively. I look at things objectively as possible. I really don't make judgment calls on things. I just take a look at them. But I noticed that a lot of people, and I've asked some of them, that they're on here spewing off about all kind of crazy stuff. Politics, social justice. Hey, things that are important, but you would think there would be better avenues than, I don't know, a Dungeons and Dragons group to espouse views and such. Hey, it is what it is. But you talk to them, and they've never once played Dungeons and Dragons or any other RPG. They don't own any of the books or whatever. They've got the t-shirt and they found a place they feel like they belong. Hey, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly reasonable. Gamers are awesome people. All the gamers that I've known all my life, for the vast majority of them, have been awesome people and fun to be around. So I can't blame them, but it does lead to a lot of toxic culture in our toxic, just poisonous. People set against each other. I don't know. It's weird. I don't want to get into it with this show. I don't want to get into it. That talk we can save for another time if you guys want to get into it. But like I said, I wanted a community of gamers that were united because we love gaming. Because hey, this table right here is open for anybody and everybody that wants to game. Okay, if you've got your political views and all that, don't come to my table with them. Yeah. Outside of gaming and stuff, if I want to talk to you about that, I'll make it known. Basically, I'm apolitical. I'm very objective looking at the real world, because I think we might just be in hell here. I think so. It's a land of death and destruction. There's good things. The people make it good, really. Nature's beautiful and stuff. I don't know, guys. Where are we going? We're going off the rails. Anyways, like I said, you guys have delivered with the community. You guys have been very positive, and I absolutely love it. And you are the motivation of why I do what I do. What are some other goals for the channel? What were some of the other aims? Keeping things related PG-13, or not related, keeping things at a PG-13 rating, I should say. That's somewhat important to me, mainly because when I started this out and looked at the things we could talk about and show on the channel, I immediately thought of myself at the age of 10, 11, 12, 13, and so forth, preteens and early teenage years, and what I would have done to have a resource like we have in YouTube now when it comes to gaming. According to the analytics, most people watching this channel will know what I'm talking about. But the pre-YouTube internet era, gaming, unless you knew people who knew what they were talking about, it was hard to get into. It was trial and error. It was I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't easy to get into, especially for people who were like me, who grew up very rurally, and we didn't have parents or family members in the immediate family that were interested in such things. So as kids and such, it was a struggle to really get into gaming and get it to a level where it was working out for us. We've talked about this, It was probably the best era because it was very creative. It was very imaginative. The rules really didn't matter so much as long as you were having a great time. But the full gist of actually role-playing and what was being expected, that was sort of left open to interpretation. So But having a resource like YouTube, as a teenager and stuff, I would have absolutely ate this up. And that's what I keep in mind when we do the channel. Look, I can cuss and insult with the best of them. I worked 8 years as a correctional officer in a maximum security prison. Yeah, I've heard no one on YouTube is going to tell me anything that's going to top anything I've heard. Yeah, or show me anything that is going to outdo what I've seen. So I watch a lot of, well, I don't watch a lot of YouTubers, but when I try to look at gaming stuff, what's popular and stuff, I see a lot of people in their 20s and such, and it's just every 3 words is some 4-letter word. F this, F that, blah, 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 blah. And that's annoying to me. It really is. It seems immature, and it's just, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not the most articulate person when it comes to being on camera, so I don't really have any room to say. But when I hear people, it's just the profusion of cursing and cuss words and such every time they talk, it tells me that I'm not going to get any valuable information from this person. Just from a psychological viewpoint, I'm not going to get any valuable information because this person mentally, they're not working from the intellectual, logical side of their hemisphere of their brain. Once you're into things and it's F this, F that, a lot of cursing and stuff, you're into your emotional side of your brain. You know, you're coming from your feelings. And you're going to be able to tell people how you feel about things, sure. And what your opinion about things is based on your feelings. But you're not coming from the side of your brain where you're sharing a lot of logic and true information. So it's an immediate tune out for me. I don't have time to sit around on YouTube and listen to a bunch of 20-year-olds and teenagers tell me their opinions about things. I've lived life, okay? I don't really care about opinions. So, yeah, that's why I try to keep it at a PG-13 level around here. You know, it's mainly because if you like the show and you're watching it and your family gets interested or something, you don't have to turn it off or you don't have to leave the room. It's something that I would be comfortable for my own son to watch, who is a teenager now. Yeah? So it's that's the way we roll. Where are we going with this? Let's talk about some goals for the channel. Let's talk about some goals for the channel. In the immediate, like I said, I'm working in the background. We're going to keep the weekly thing going on. I'm going to do my best to get on here, throw out some game reviews. Let's do that deep delve of Castles and Crusades I keep promising. Hey, I might promise things. It might take a while, but I fulfill my promises. I'm a man of my word. So the Castles and Crusades thing's coming along. I'm actually waiting to hear back from the Chenault brothers on some stuff I want to do with this deep delve of the Castles and Crusades. But it'll be similar, but to the Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls deep delve. But because of the size of Castles and Crusades, as in the volume of books and things that they've done over the last basically 20 years, there'll have to be quite a few more episodes and things to cover with Castles and Crusades. But so that's one thing. The reviews, the deep delves, all that's going to continue. And this weekly show. For some reason, people are eating up the weekly show. The numbers and stuff are amazing on it. A lot of people have expressed there that they actually like this format. This episode might change them that I'm half insomnia'd out. You know, but it's important that I get on. Hey, it's important that I get on. But yeah, that's going to continue. But as these background things take place, I need the Random Encounter Army's help here. I am terrible at self-promotion. I do not like sharing videos across social media and Facebook groups and all this kind of stuff. Yeah? Every time I do it, I got to fight with some Yahoo about it. Every time I do it, I got to fight with some Yahoo. It's always some guy that has a YouTube channel with more videos than they have subscribers I got to fight with. I don't mind fighting online. Hey, it's fun. You know, let's have us a war of words. Let's go. but it's always there. And plus, I just don't like promoting myself. It feels cheap. I don't know. And I don't like hitting people with all this like and subscribe and share and smash this button and climb up on your roof and do a head dive off of it, please. I don't like all of that. You know, I come to YouTube. I feel like that if people like what I do, they're gonna like things. If they enjoy what I do and want more, they're gonna subscribe. I don't like treating people like they're idiots. Okay, it's because I don't need idiots hanging around me. I'm an idiot enough myself. So that's another thing I don't like doing with YouTube is getting on here and please like and subscribe and share and all this kind of stuff. I can't stand it. I can't stand it, especially when they do it throughout the video. It's like, get out of here. Get a life. If people like you, they'll like you. Quit begging like a damn dog. Okay? Be a man or a woman or whatever. You know? I don't know. Anyways, all I'm going to ask is this. I don't ask very much from the Random Encounter Army. But what we need to do is hit 1,000 subscribers. It's what we need to do. Yes, we get monetized. Is YouTube going to pay the bills? No. No. I don't even think if we reached 100,000 subscribers that YouTube's going to really pay the bills around here. I don't know. But any little bit extra helps for monetization. Okay. Any bit helps. But the main reason I want to get to 1,000 subscribers is then that is where YouTube really picks us up in the algorithms that it uses. You know, that before 1,000 subscribers, YouTube really is not going to push anything. Even at 1,000 subscribers, it's not going to do any big pushes. But at least it starts to push. Yeah? That'll be great for helping us grow. So, all of you out there, if you've got friends or groups or enemies or whoever that you think might enjoy the show, share something with them that you think that they would like. You know, don't go spamming places and all this kind of stuff. Let's keep it reasonable. I'm just saying that, hey, if you got social media or whatever and you have the ability and a desire, give us a share every once in a while. I know Stephen Jones, he was putting this up on Twitter every once in a while. You know, I appreciate stuff like that. Like I said, I don't like social media so much. I use it. I only have Facebook and I only have YouTube. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Discord. I'm not going to all these places. It's a headache to me. Yeah? Enough is enough. So if you got places that you have, share it away if you feel like it. I don't care. Really, we're going to grow. We're going to make it happen. But you can help the channel out by sharing. And spreading the word, at least until YouTube picks us up and starts sharing the word for us here on this platform. But yeah, like I said, don't spam, don't go crazy or anything. But each and every little bit helps. But going full time for the show. These are some future goals for the show. And specifically in funding. Hey, Deathstalker 5's got mouths to feed, child support to pay, utility bills to bend over for, and everything that leads to keeping this show on the air. Yeah, as we go full time. Now, I personally am investing my own into this show. It could be a major train wreck. I don't know. I don't really care. Life is life. You know, I believe in that if you believe in something and you want to do it, go forth and don't stop until you do it. Yeah? So it could be a major train wreck. I've been into quite a few. I came out alive each time, so there's no fear whatsoever in putting some risk involved. So yeah, I'm investing on my end of the show, selling off some various pieces of investments and whatnot. Like I said, I don't need to get off into it. Who cares, right? But I'm investing. You know, we've bought a bunch of miniatures and stuff for the show. We're going to be getting more stuff we're going to be using for the show. But how can you help? You know, especially in the future. Right now is not a big push, but if you can help right now, we'll definitely take it. But how can you help? I'm not a proponent of somebody that wants to beg you to fund the show. No, I believe that if you want to fund the show, you should get something for it. You know, that's just my belief. Things like Patreon and stuff. You can go back. I said we would never put a paywall like Patreon for our content. Yeah? And I still plan to never do that. But I am looking at the YouTube membership feature. I'm looking at it. It's pretty rough, guys, to be honest. YouTube, any money that comes into this show through YouTube, whether it's for the Super Thanks deal or through the memberships and stuff, YouTube takes 30% off the top for themselves. And then you got to pay taxes on it. So, I mean, that's a pretty tough cut. But I look at it and I say, well, it is very easy for people to use because it's here on YouTube. So I'm looking at it. But if we do go to the membership thing, I'm telling you right off the bat, it's not that you're going to get, that we're going to take the random encounter show and put some content on the channel and the better content behind the paywall. No, I'm here to share my passion and love for the hobby. Money is second thought, not even a second thought. You know, I'm not a person that's motivated by money. Okay? But if we do create the membership, I think we're just up in the air. Hey, listen to what I got to say, and I'm going to listen to what you have to say. Because if you've got good ideas and such, I'm more than willing to listen to them. We need them. But for the membership, doing live stuff each month, maybe some giveaways, maybe some, I wouldn't say extra content, but content that's related to the show, but really doesn't have a place on the show. One of the things with the commission painting that I've done over the last few years was teach people to paint, you know, like across Zoom or Facebook Messenger and such. Coaching them and starting from the very beginning and showing them how I go about painting and teaching true painting. Not a bunch of shortcut methods, but how to actually go in from start to finish and use various techniques and such, and color theory, and how to use your palette and such, and truly be able to paint without using the shortcuts. The shortcuts are things you can use to complement your painting style. Whether it's stuff like, you know, contrast paints. Hey, these are wonderful, but they're limiting to your painting style. I don't know. I don't want to get too far off into anything. I want to talk about this. Guys. But anyways, I've taught people how to paint across various mediums. That's been something, everybody's been very happy with that. Maybe it's that we put some painting courses, some very in-depth painting courses or something up for the membership thing. I don't know. But definitely a live thing. You know, come on, live chat, questions, answers, having fun, some kind of event or whatever, and do giveaways. Yeah? Because painted miniatures, terrain pieces, games themselves, gift cards, whatever we can do. That way you get something for your membership. You know, you come in, you have a fun time, you get to interact with me personally, whatever it is. But we also do giveaways and such. Another way, and we'll talk about the membership again in a second. But the number one way I was thinking about funding the show is once I'm done with a lot of our background projects and we can start getting them on camera here, I can go back to doing the pre-painted miniatures and commission work. I can still do it now if you're interested. Hey, there's links on the About page over here on the channel. Go over there to the About section. You'll find my painting page. You'll find our Facebook page. You'll find our email. Get in contact with me, okay? It will be limited for a while of how much I take on outside of working for projects directly related to the show. So it will be limited, okay? But when I'm really done with the projects of the show, I'm going to get back to cranking out pre-painted stuff and everything. And I will convert my eBay store over to being dedicated directly for painted miniatures, terrain, and such. That way, you can support the show and have something in hand. What's cooler than being able to support a show that you love, you know, on YouTube or whatever, and being able to get something that you can put directly on your table. You know, something that looks great, it looks fantastic, and it's ready to go. Comes in the mail in a few days and it's ready to go. And I think that's probably the number one way we're going to be looking at funding things. Because like I said, I want to make sure people actually get something for helping out the show. Supporting the show, supporting me. But if you have ideas and such, that would be great to hear. I've got other things. Back to the membership thing. Being a member of our wherever we set it up at, will give you an automatic discount on buying miniatures and stuff, our commission services from our store. Like I said, giveaways and such to do. But also, because I had a crazy idea anyways, is that it may be possible that we use Zoom or some platform such as Zoom, where it's very unregulated and it's private, to do private events where, I don't know, maybe we watch a movie of the month or something with live chat. Okay, I can give you some really crazy movies. I don't know. Like I said, it's all up in the air. So it's, I would love, like I said, this is an open discussion. This is your time to chime in what you would like to see, your ideas for funding the show and for going full time. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see where this thing goes. Moving forward, I hope to be able to bring you better and better content. That's the goal here. Yeah? But always making it personable. Always making it feel like you've came over to the Fortress of Doom and you're sitting at the table with Devstalker 5, no matter what we're talking about. Yeah? That's important to me. I absolutely can't stand the commercialism revolving around YouTube. I get it, but it's to a point where a lot of stuff, it just, I don't know. Guys, you would be surprised. You would be surprised that as small as we are right now, of how many emails I get a month on different people and companies trying to pay me to push something to you, whether it's Kickstarters or some game I've never heard of, whatever. And so far, I have accepted absolutely 0 of them. Yeah? It's very important. The number one thing I have is not looks, obviously, or, editing skills and all this kind of stuff. The number one thing I have is your trust. Being honest and being open and being somebody that you can trust to give you quality, real advice and good content that you can trust. That's the most important thing to me, because I don't have much going on. But if I lost my word and my honesty with my community, it would be game over. It would be game over. I'd feel worse than a dog. I wouldn't even want to come on anymore. It would be game over, I'm telling you. So that's one thing. I'm not commercially motivated to be on YouTube, but we do have to have a way to fund the show. But you'd be surprised at the stuff I've turned around. I don't know. Anyways, guys. The insomnia is whipping me. I imagine this show is going to be chaos. I imagine I'm going to have to actually get in here and edit bits and pieces, because we went completely off the rails, and I don't want it to be a 5-hour long thing. Anyways, guys, this has been Table Talk. I look forward to hearing from everyone. I'm going to go try to get some sleep. Yeah? That's important. We'll be back next week with some gaming. And all the Baptists in the back holler amen. I'm going to die on camera. We'll finally get views around here.